Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome back. We are Earth Medicine for the Soul. My name is Oakwalker, and I'm here with my good friend over there, I think, or maybe over there. I'm not sure. Um, right. Frank Caldwell Stronghorse, he goes by. And we are Earth Medicine for the Soul, a podcast devoted to all kinds of things that are basically spiritual and soul searching for all the soul searchers out there. We are here to share how we got here, and maybe someday we'll get into bringing on people who can share their stuff too. But right now, we're still trying to get the hang of this together. So we're going to go on with what we've been doing so far. I'm going to kick this one over to Frank because he will probably remember where we were at, and I've already forgotten. So off we go, Mr. Stronghorse.
Yeah, well, last time we kind of were battling around with balance and personal value,
Yep.
and talked a little bit about the circle of law and
Mm.
trying to come to terms with realization that the world that you get is the one you put forth, that
Yeah.
it originates from you, it's not
Yes.
originating outside it from you, it's originating it from you,
Yes.
and so. It was interesting. I was listening to this interview also today with this Catholic priest, and he was talking about how he got into becoming an exorcist, and he was on that Sean Ryan show,
Uh-huh.
and so he was, I've had some experience in dealing with depossessions and other people and stuff, and doing healings of that sort, and so I'm not a stranger to that. But it was pretty funny the way he's talking about it when his first experience was he had to go to work as an apprentice, and he said this this woman's like crawling around the floor like a snake and foaming at the mouth and eyes rolled back, and he said the priest he's studying under works with a little bit, and then he goes, I got to go do mass. He says, you stay with her and I'll be back in an hour. What? and, and, uh, and,
Don't let
it,
her
and, it's,
out.
and it's, yeah, right. And he leaves, and the guy's like, what the hell? He goes, hey, that's exactly what he did. He left and shut the door and just wouldn't let her out. The guy came back and says, where's the woman? He said, I don't know. She's in there, man. I'm not, I ain't having any part of that. Anyway, so he went on and on. And he was talking about, it was a pretty funny guy. And he was talking about what he had to learn and this and that. And I was thinking, after the conversation, I was thinking to myself, he it's a perfect example of what you project out there is what you get back,
Uh-huh.
and because, if he was learning how to cook pancakes, people would be showing up with batter.
Right.
They wouldn't be showing up drooling at the mouth and everything. Yeah, I've got to learn exorcism. Well, here you go. Here's somebody for you.
Yep. Start here.
See how this works out for you. Oh my God. So anyway, I think what I'd like to touch on this time is that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and the way that you choose to perceive it has a lot to do with how that is going to impact your life.
Yep.
And
And
you know,
choices matter.
if you're getting caught up in all of the chaos and all of the insanity and allowing that to impact you, that's going to bleed out in your personal life. I
Yeah.
mean, it is. That's I even said to you when you were starting some of your writings on what's going on. I said, well, just be careful. That's a double-edged sword, because it's hard to not be involved in that which you're working
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
You can't work with it and be completely separate from it. So as an example, right now, I think a lot of people, particularly with Epstein files, they're all about, well, we're going to find out who these rich people were and, break up this cobble of elitists and hold them accountable and yada yada yada, and so there's this battle going on, and of course Trump's trying to hide everybody's name, and The Republicans are coming up on TV every day going, "Well, it's all finished. We're all done. Don't worry about it anymore."
Right. Nothing to see here.
Everybody's going, "I don't think we're finished at all." So I was thinking about that, and so this goes back to what you're thinking about balance. And so the planet's trying to achieve balance. So because I know what the sacred laws are, I'm looking at it from that viewpoint.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing is the sacred law is do nothing to harm the children is coming back big time.
Yeah, because we've not paid any attention to it.
Haven't paid any attention to it all. And so all of these, you know, situations where there's been sexual abuse of children is coming to the surface. They're being exposed.
Hmm.
So because the second, and I was thinking about like that guy that ICE grabbed with his 5-year-old kid, with that little
Yeah.
blue
Yeah.
hat, and I thought if he hadn't had that 5-year-old kid with a little blue hat, who knows where he'd be?
Right. You'd be in
I mean,
Ecuador or somewhere.
yeah. So, but everybody's like, no, hey, you can't do that to the kids. So there's this rising tide of conscious awareness of
Yeah.
we can't allow the children to be, we can't let that which is vulnerable be abused. And so we're
Right.
not going to stand for
Right.
so if you start looking at what's going on, it's trying to re-achieve and reestablish balance.
Hmm.
Things start to clear up. It gives me a little bit of clarity instead of getting caught up like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Right. And that's the
You know?
crux also of the taking care of the next generation too, because those are our children, right? And so that goes down in the sacred laws all the way down 7 generations. And in fact, they'll take it both directions and go 7 down the line and deal with, take into account 7 generations backwards. I've been doing some ancestral trauma healing in my own life lately, right? And it goes both ways. Um,
Right.
and it's that very fundamental thing. Do nothing to harm the children, where if you poison the rivers and the air, that harms the children, right? The children are the ones who suffer for
Right.
that, and they're the ones who have to fix it. So it just runs all the way down through the whole thread. And it's my point being that it's bigger than just the sexual abuse. It's the absolute abject disregard for the health of the children now and 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 all the way down the line. We just
Yeah, I think this rising tide of consciousness,
uh-huh.
it's like they're saying, look, your attitude's got to change.
Yeah.
I look at, my wife's 96-year-old father, and he's a huge Trump supporter. And
Hmm.
when I listen to him, you would think you're in 1953. Everything he's saying, everything he's talking about is grounded and rooted in that time frame.
Hmm.
Because that's when it was important for him.
Yeah.
You know, it's different for us because everything we're rooted in is the 60s and the 70s, and when we started waking up into a more like, wait a minute, this is you're you're sending us to die in a war. It makes no sense.
Right.
All right, what the hell's going on here?
Right. And you're
And then it
drafting
just
us
kind of
into it.
yeah, and then it kind of spread out from there.
Hmm.
I, I, I love sometimes I'm talking to some of the younger guys in my business and stuff, and I said, well, you got to understand, I came from a period when the government was actually trying to kill us.
Hey, doesn't
And
that
they,
sound
they just
familiar?
go blank, like, what? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it's like you either died or you went to Canada. It wasn't a whole lot of choices in our lives at the time.
Uh-huh.
But you guys have it bad, you
I
know?
got really lucky there. Um,
Yeah.
which brings me to the point that people they have a tendency to stop growing. This is something I want to really fight against or try to counteract as we go through our soul process, right? Because if you stop growing in high school, which is what so many people do, you know, they get to adulthood and they're going, well, that's that I'm there, I'm done. I don't have to grow anymore. I'm grown up now. And they get stuck in that. And I think the best application or the best example I have of that is that as I've gone through my life and I've seen popular music change in so many different ways, right? And my parents would hear what I liked and they would say, well, that ain't music. That's not music. I'll tell you what music is. And then they'd put on a Frank Sinatra album, right? And then we got into the punk phase. And all of a sudden, my own peers are going, well, that ain't music. That's a bunch of punk shit. And every decade, as we've gone through another change in music, the generation before them was going, well, that ain't music, and that ain't the way things should be. And you look at people and you realize that the way they think things should be are the way they were in high school. And life doesn't stop when you get out of high school. you know, the
Right.
world continues to evolve whether you're in high school or not. So I think that there's this is why I've gone into all of those little tutorial writings that I do on the other side. They're all about, listen, you need a little bit more education about this. This is you're being gaslit by logical fallacies. Do you
Right.
really want to, is that the hill you're going to die on? You're going to chase a red herring down across the road and then say, this is important and this is all I'm going to do with my life. I don't think so. And we need to, and there's where our soul development comes back in again, too, is that if you stop growing at any certain point in your life, if you're just going to cut things off and make everything relevant to only to that time when you were your glory days, then you're going to cripple your soul. And then you're just going to have to come back and do this all again. And that, you know, that can be painful, let's just say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that's we were talking before we came on the air. We were talking a little bit about balance, and
Uh-huh.
I was saying, well, I think I think balance can be conducive to growth because then you're in a space where alchemy is doing
Yeah.
its thing, and
Uh-huh.
so if you're attuned to your spirit, if you're attuned to your environment, if you're attuned to, as I'm saying, the sacred laws, and not just seeing and not paying attention to everything that's superficial because you're
Uh-huh.
entertained by it. You
Right.
know, that's, I mean, the entertainment thing is what's really caused us to limit our perceptions into that just which is superficial because we're
Yeah.
just fed a diet of, day in, day out. Well, you're not good enough, but you could get close if you buy this piece of shit that we're
Right.
selling, you know? And so it just, you get caught in a loop. You
Yeah.
keep caught in a loop, and then you keep trying to say, well, I have personal value within this loop. No, you don't.
No, you
No,
don't.
no, you don't. You don't. You never will. And so the loop has got to be broken. The cycle has got to be broken, and it's
Yeah.
and you got to get out of that, that space. I mean, I was talking to one of our other Melchizedek associates, and he was talking to me about. He said his dad was about, I guess, about my age, and he said,
Hmm.
I don't really understand how my dad could be, is in ill health, and he would end up passing away, and you're just vibrant. And I said, well, the thing you got to understand is, when your dad was running around playing golf and smoking cigarettes and drinking scotch, I was out in the desert fasting and dancing and praying.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I mean, really. So there's a vast difference in our backgrounds in terms of priorities.
Hmm.
Again, whatever you put out there is what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
And so I was out there specifically to try to see how far I could push myself under the some pretty intense out in the desert,
Hmm.
intense environment in order to be able to see how much I could personally grow within the context of that ceremony. And so, I push myself physically, mentally, spiritually, in all ways in order to be able to see just how far can this go?
Hmm.
What's up there? What's out there in that mystery? And so,
Yeah.
and I've never let go of that, and I never will let go of that because
Hmm.
when I get ready to pass over, it'll be the very same thing. Well, okay, well, wonder what's out there.
Right.
It's another dance.
Just one more
Woohoo!
step, Frank. There's one more
One
step.
more, one more dance, man. So I mean, that really is. People get caught up in these loops,
Hmm.
and they keep trying to justify that, and that's what kills them, I think.
Well, yeah, and there's a I don't know why the word integrity came back through my mind. I was just sitting here thinking how grateful I am because I didn't have the opportunity to do as many of the things that you did. I had some a lot of serious issues with family and child support, and I had to keep working basically. So I didn't have the opportunity to go do as many sun dances as you did, and I managed to get a lot done in spite of my life. Uh, and all of that. And I was thinking about that, and the trigger point was is that when I started getting into groups of people who have been going on this path, then I was suddenly around people who had enough integrity that we could really just share where we were at. We could talk about the reality of our situation as opposed to just constantly trying to rationalize where we're at to try to fit ourselves around all of these nonsensical and insincere trips and you know distractions like you said that are out there. And so that's why I just wanted to go back with the integrity part of that, because I think that that's what starts to develop when you put yourself out there to to stretch yourself beyond your old boundaries, beyond those distractions, and see if you can get into a bigger realm of of reality of the universe, right? I'm not putting this very
Yeah,
well, but
no, I know you are. The thing that in that example that you just used with your hands is really because I remember when I was, at the times when I was homeless and just down to the rock bottom, and
yeah.
I'd always talk to myself and go, well, at least I have my integrity. Good job,
Yep.
man.
There you go, man.
and and that became my foundation. That's
Yeah.
like, and because that's literally all I had left.
Yep.
Is your integrity. And of course, I never was homeless. I was just at adult summer camp. But
Yeah.
I mean, I built on that. And
Yeah.
and my integrity, for me, my integrity was my own personal possession.
Hmm.
It was something that belonged to me, and I managed it the way I wanted to manage it. And it
Yeah.
had nothing to do with anybody else. Nothing,
No,
because the
yeah. And
minute
it
the
it
minute I
can't be,
turned that over to them, it became compromised.
yep, it can't be taken away from you. Only you can give it up.
Right. Exactly. Well put. And there you go. Get a lot of people who get caught in that loop and they're giving it up,
Yeah.
because I mean, I had to get down to the rock bottom to be able to figure that out,
Yeah.
because
Me
I've
too.
been I've been up and I've been down,
Right.
and so I'm able to see both those worlds from those different perspectives. But
Yeah.
a lot of people haven't had that, they would, I mean, they couldn't even possibly imagine being in a situation like you and I both have found ourselves. We're sitting on the side of the street somewhere going, oh man, now what?
Yeah. I'm done.
You
I'm
know,
out.
I'm out. God, I better have something pretty quick because I'm just really done here.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah,
do
we do.
that.
As a matter of fact, here you go. Here's a new chapter.
Right.
So,
Imagine my
I
surprise.
think, yeah. So, I mean, I think that that's a lot of people have to unfortunately reach that bottom before they decide to get out of the loop. They're almost forced out, I mean, I, I didn't come onto a spiritual path because I was looking for one. I got
Right,
tricked into it.
right.
I had no idea what I was getting into. And it just it took off like a rocket ship, to enough to
Uh-huh.
where I was going, huh, well, this is kind of interesting, but I wasn't looking for anything, I
Yeah.
mean, I wasn't, that was the last thing on my, I'd read some spiritual books, but
Uh-huh.
finding a group to hang out with and do all this stuff, man, I was a million miles away. I never even thought about it.
Yeah. I took a lot of forks in the road, if you will, because I was raised Methodist. I was all in the, I mean, I thought I was there, all this whole time, all that, no, all that whole time, I thought I was doing all the right things. I was a baptized Methodist kid singing in the church choir, growing up with what they would call the good kids, who actually found it necessary to kick me out, but that was entirely my fault. And and so, but I thought that whole time, and then came back and once again I was, baptized into the Southern Baptist kind of, charismatic sort of churches. And each of these times they were not right for me. And I wasn't I wasn't hitting on all cylinders, right? In any of these places, and they all made me feel very, very unwelcome. But my point is that while you were surprised into it, I was tremendously disillusioned from all of that. Um, before I finally had what we've referred to as, sitting on the street corner and going, "Fuck this, I'm done." I've tried it. I've done everything you asked. I've tried business. I've been an entrepreneur. I've put two businesses out of business. My kids, I can't even go visit my kids. I'm estranged from my children. Everything, Uh, no church will have me. That was another part of that whole thing. I was just like, fuck this. I'm totally done. And that's not an unusual experience for people.
No,
Um,
no.
a
Having
lot of
having
people.
having a destiny is both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
If you're particularly on the level that we're working, because you're bringing change, you're a transformer, you're meant to bring change, and you can't change something if you're marching in the band. I mean,
Yeah.
you just can't. You're already there, and so we get kicked out of this, kicked out of that. I was I had a flashback when you were talking. I said, boy, you and I have a lot of parallels, because I remember I got kicked out of the Boy Scouts when I beat up the Scoutmaster's kid. You're out of here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea,
Yeah. I didn't like the Boy Scouts either.
huh? Well, so, I think that, what we're looking at right now is we're trying to bring into the world a new beginning, and we have a huge amount of support coming at us from all kinds of councils and you know ancient schools, ancient ancestors,
Uh-huh.
ancient wisdom. It's like there's this, everybody's like, wow, this is really great, and there's like a party going on all around us, and I think you and I are kind of like, huh, really? I didn't
What's that
realize.
about? Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm pretty optimistic about the way things are going, and the more, and what's ironic is I think with a lot of people, they're hearing all this chaos, I had more people going, "Oh my God, it's just insane! It's just insane!" And and I want to say, "No, it's not. It's totally sane." You know, it's totally sane. What you're seeing is the most sane thing ever. It just doesn't fit within your dynamic.
Uh-huh.
It's not
Yeah.
what you think or what you expect. I mean, you're sitting on the curb going, now what?
Yeah.
What? You just don't realize it, because you're not physically there. But that's what's happening. I mean, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think and that's why what we're doing, it seems to have relevance to some people, because this is spreading, this is growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and a lot of people are coming to that realization that and I think I can tie this all back together with balance and personal worth, is that they're they're waking up to the fact that they've been devalued by the whole world as it stands, and they've been deluded, and they've been gaslit, and they're finished. It's time to go find another, try something else. And I really think that getting down, I've never met an animal that did vengeance, for example. Only people do that, you know?
Right.
You They don't go out and kill, you kill my brother, I'll kill you. That's not the way animals operate. I'm sure they have grief and all the things that they go through when they lose a loved one, but I don't see vengeance as part of what they do. And we need to get back to those, that there's where the sacred laws are actually being acted out. It's in the
Right.
animal world and in the natural world. And that's where they come from, basically. And that's how the Creator continually speaks to us, to give us the example that we need to follow so that we can come through the world with balance and find that our worth has got nothing to do with the systems that they put in place.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I wrote a couple of articles recently on Substack called Potent Love. And,
Hmm.
I was talking about like tying in personal value and all this. And I
Hmm.
was saying, unless you have a intimate relationship with your spirit and your soul, you can't really experience potent love. And,
Uh-huh.
and I said, potent love exists in the animal world, but I said, I'm not going to try to explain that to you right now because that's just you can't you can't lay that out to a rigid mindset on any rational level whatsoever. you
Uh-huh.
know I mean,
Yeah.
the only reason I can see potent love within the natural world is because I've gotten out of my loop and gone out there and gotten in the middle of it by myself and seen it in
Hmm.
in real time.
Yeah.
So I felt it, and I mean, and I'm referring mainly to the times when I was hiking through the Sierra Madres down in Mexico by myself, and I'd be in places that man had never been if or had been very seldom. So the natural world had not been polluted by man's psychic pollution,
Yeah.
and the difference was unbelievable. I
Yeah.
mean, it was almost it's almost like going to Oz. I mean, I
It's
was
still,
literally,
there's a stillness.
yes, a stillness and a perfection and a harmony there that is
Hmm.
unbelievable. And the love is palatable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel it, you can taste it, and everything there is bathing in it,
Yeah.
except for man.
Yeah. And you can walk through
And we're
little
the only ones.
whirlpools of it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, I've sat in streams up in the mountains there and you know and just kind of like thinking, well, I'm going to call the spirit of the stream and see what happens, and they showed up. I go, whoa, damn, that
Yeah,
actually worked.
right.
you know and they were like, who are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm Stronghorse, what's happening?
They called me by
Good to
many
meet you, I
names.
guess. I don't know what's happening. But I feel that flooding in right now, and I think that's what I'm talking about when we're getting the support. I feel potent love is just flooding into this planet
Uh-huh.
from all different directions, and all of the people who have operated within this loop of dysfunction and illusion and lies and misdirection and all of this stuff. Man, it's like all of a sudden they're finding themselves on a skating rink without skates.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
They're just slipping and sliding around. They can't find their footing. They don't know
Hmm.
how the hell they got there. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do about it. But all the old shit ain't working anymore.
No, and it's time for those of us who have this balance to, to, to arrive at some compassion because they need to be picked up. They need to be nurtured over to the side of the rink where they can hold on and this is something that I need to take more seriously because it's real nice to have my own personal sense of balance, but just standing and watching other people flail around isn't working for me.
I love these guys that are doing the walk for peace,
Yeah, I do too.
the Buddhist monks, and people are
Uh-huh.
just coming out in the thousands. I saw an interview with one of them. The guy said, "Man, we started this out. We had no idea. we we just thought we'd be some monks passing through town.
Hmm.
We had no idea these people are going to be." And people are just, I mean, they're just
Yeah.
so, oh yeah, oh my God, peace. Here's some
Yep.
flowers. I mean, they're just like
Right.
just 5 minutes of getting out of this madness.
Yep.
Just let's.
Nobody does
It's
peace.
awesome. This peace. Who are you guys?
Right. Dang, this is new.
Oh man.
Well,
Well, it feels pretty good. I think that yeah, I think that the work we're doing here will eventually start leaking out and spreading around and by
I think
word, and
so.
people start telling other people, "Hey, you ought to listen to these two clowns. They're kind of funny." And
Yep. And then,
so they,
and then those will lead to opportunities where, people, we're helping. Okay. Things, we're just raising the level of assistance up in some way or another. And as I move forward, every opportunity I'm going to get, I'll try and help people out if I can. And that's the best I can do for my last few years here.
yeah, I actually on that potent love thing, I told people, I said the fastest way to get involved in that and is to do acts of kindness. And I
Yeah.
mean unexpected acts of kindness.
Right. No,
You
yeah,
know,
that's
my
true.
where people aren't expecting something. It's whether it's like you're in the grocery store and some lady's trying to get a can off the shelf, just go up there and help her,
Right.
or
Absolutely.
s-
That was in your first one. I
somebody's
read your first one.
yeah, somebody's trying to get across the street and they're blind or something, help. Just
Hmm.
stop what you're doing, man, and
Yep.
help them. And if you put that intent out, the universe will give you the opportunities
Right.
to have that. Again, you
Again
get
and
back
again.
what you put out,
Yep.
And if you say, "Hey, I want to do 10 acts of kindness this week," you'll be amazed how the whole stage will open up for you, and you'll see. And boy, people just love you for that. They just love you for that. They're
Hmm.
because it's so unexpected, and they just think everybody's around them is just doing the same thing, treating them like they don't matter. Then when you step in there and say, "No, you do matter, and I appreciate you, and I'm going to help you out here,"
Yeah,
that's love, man.
it is. Okay. That's love, man. So,
That's love, man.
yeah, we got to go. I uh have run out of time. It's a weird thing, but anyway, let me close. Thank you, everybody, for coming to be with us on Earth Medicine for the Soul. We love to doing this, and we're getting, well, a little better at it every time. And you can come and visit Stronghorse and me, Oakwalker, at Earth. Earth-EMS.org is where you can find all the listings of every place that you can listen and watch and do all that stuff. Thank you very much, and we will see you on the flip side.
Goodbye.